the time you get
Good
there, we will be
evening.
set.
And welcome to the August 1st, 2018 meeting, Falmouth Conservation Commission. Looks like we may be having a short meeting tonight. We'll see how it goes. I guess I may have jinxed it, but we'll see. All right. First, we have
You have all the packets.
voting on some minutes.
Sometimes they want to see the-
And Susan's not.
No, Susan's not here. Susan will not be with us for the month of August, but they are trying to find coverage, and if not, we will get her the FCTV tape, and she will produce the minutes.
Okay.
Do her magic.
All right. We
don't
won't
have
have
a
minutes
pen.
to vote on for a while.
But we have 3 today.
We have 3 today, starting
I'll use
with
red.
June 27th. Betsy?
I've read it, and it looks good to me, and so I'll move that we accept.
Second?
Second.
Okay, I
Oh, these are the
have
ones we're voting on.
a couple small things, and I will just
You can give them to
turn them
me.
in to Jen. They're really just,
That's fine, I can.
typo kinds of things.
Yeah, I can we'll deal with,
So.
we'll correct
Pass
them.
that down. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, unanimous, so
Thank you.
moved. Next, July 8th, July 11th. Betsy?
I'll move that we accept them as written. I didn't find any problems with it.
Second.
I'll second it, I didn't see any issue. Oh, Mary.
Okay, I also have there's something, Mr. Borselli and I had a bit of an exchange that night about the FEMA and the Falmouth zone, and it came out with, it wasn't clear what you were referring to when you said the FEMA maps are much more accurate now. It wasn't related in any way in the minutes to the V-zone, the Falmouth V-zone. It was just a comment about the FEMA maps, and then I said the regulations are what they are, and that wasn't really the conversation we had. So,
Brendan.
right. No, as it was, I said
I know she didn't say that.
as I recall the whole thing, I said that I found your argument to be a good argument, but that with the concerns about coastal resiliency, I found a big tension between that, so I was not at best on the fence about it at this point. So anyway, and also Bruce McGordo's name is incorrect in here.
The spelling.
Well, no, I think it's just not recognizable as his name, as I recall.
You know what the name is?
Bruce McGarda.
It says
Bruce McGarda's name
McCardle.
is Bruce McGarda.
It says McCardle.
Yeah,
So,
Mogar.
All right, so, anybody else? All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, unanimous, so moved. And finally, we have July 18.
I have a correction on them. Other than that, I think they're in order. It's just name spelling, pages 6 and 7. It's Cornelia McMurtry is spelled M-C-M-U-R, capital M-U-R-T-R-I-E. And it's misspelled a number of times.
Okay,
So
so
is that a
is that a
Other than
motion?
that, the motion is to accept them with that correction.
Second.
All right, I have one other thing similar
Okay.
to yours.
And other corrections.
There, in the hearing for 66 Crowell Road, there are numerous references to George with no last name. Does anybody recall? He is it was a request to extend the order of conditions to allow construction to begin before the coastal bank stabilization project is completed, and he is.
G-A-K-I-D-I-S.
Say it again, please.
G-A-K-I-D-I-S.
Okay, thank you. And with that, anybody else have anything?
And just give those to me, and I'll make the corrections and finalize them.
All right, thank you.
Get them on the website.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, unanimous, so moved.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Now we move on to request for determination of applicability. For anyone who's here for one of these and is not familiar with the proceedings, what the applicant wants in the case of these applications is a negative determination, meaning they do not, it's acceptable as is, they do not have to go to the next level of application and review. First one is Mary Ann and Eric Billings, 0 Penzance Road, map 52-01-002-000, Falmouth, Massachusetts, for permission to construct previously permitted public access stairs to an existing permitted pier.
Madam Chair, the staff recommends a -2 determination under the state and bylaw. The resource area boundaries are not confirmed by this RDA.
So move.
Second.
Any comments or questions from the board? Anything from the public? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, unanimous, so moved. Next,
Madam Chair,
yes.
reminder.
Oh, yes, a reminder, and thank you, I needed the reminder myself to please silence the devices. Next, DNC Parks and Resorts at Falmouth LLC, 350 Quaker Road, North Falmouth, Massachusetts, for permission to abandon and cap the existing force main for the sewage disposal system and install a new force main.
Madam Chair, the staff recommends a -2 determination under the state and bylaw. The resource area boundaries are not confirmed by this RDA.
So move.
Second.
Great, thank you. Any questions or comments from the board? Anything from the public? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, unanimous, so moved. Nilde Diefenbach, 50 Nemasket Road, Falmouth, Massachusetts, for permission to construct new septic system in accordance with Title V regulations to upgrade existing failed system.
Madam Chair, the staff recommends a -2 determination under the state and bylaw. The resource area boundaries are not confirmed by this RDA.
So move.
Second.
Any questions or comments from the board? Anything from the public? Hearing nothing, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, unanimous, so moved. Okay, now we have a continued request for determination of applicability. Stephen and Nicole Mealy, 375 Shorewood Drive, East Falmouth, Massachusetts, for permission to construct a new garage, pump and remove existing septic system, and replace with Title V sewage disposal system.
Madam Chair, the staff recommends a -2 determination under the state and bylaw, and the resource area boundaries are not confirmed by this RDA.
So move.
Second.
Questions or comments from the board? Anything from the public? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous, so moved. Okay, now we move on to requests for hearings under a notice of intent. All hearings of the Falmouth Conservation Commission are held simultaneously under the authorities of the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act and Falmouth Wetlands Bylaw. Although a single decision of the commission is issued, it represents a separate decision under each authority. All right, first we have Bradley and Elizabeth Weiner, 14 Maker Lane, Falmouth, Massachusetts, for permission to pump and abandon the existing septic tank, temporarily remove existing vegetation to allow for the installation of new septic system, installation of new septic tank and pump chamber, installation of a new distribution box and leaching field, restoration of previously existing vegetation in all disturbed areas, and the associated clearing, excavating, grading, and landscaping. Good evening, Mike.
Good evening, Madam Chairman. For the record, Michael Borselli, Falmouth Engineering, and I represent the applicant. The applicant's on the property at 14 Maker Lane. Property has frontage on a little Sippowisset Marsh. There's a significant salt marsh system on the seaward side of the home. There's a coastal bank by definition on the property that meanders through and actually runs through the house and along a landscape wall that's at the street side of the house. The property has been before you on a couple of occasions. Most recently, they had applied for some renovations to the house that they ended up not several years ago, there was an order of conditions issued and a certificate of compliance for other activities on the property. The property is now on the market, and the septic system has been determined to be in a state of failure. The septic system is located between the house and the salt marsh. There's actually a septic tank underneath the deck, and there's a leaching system just outside the deck in this general location, and not meeting any of the standards for Title V of the Town of Falmouth Health Department or the Falmouth Conservation Commission. So there's a plan to upgrade the system. Normally, these are heard as RDAs, as you just heard an RDA, but in conversations with Jen, she thought it best to file a notice of intent because some of the work is actually requiring removal of some native vegetation that was actually mitigation for work on the house back several years ago. And in order to ensure that after the septic tank pump chamber is installed, that the mitigation is replaced and allowed to grow to its full health and maturity in order of conditions, she advised that I file a notice so an order could be issued to allow the work to make sure that happens with regard to the planting. The leaching field is proposed to be located as far as physically possible from all the wetland resources. We've been able to accomplish that by providing a minimum setback of 100 feet from the salt marsh. We cannot meet the required setback from the coastal bank. There's just nowhere on the lot to meet that setback. But the most sensitive receptor wetland, we are able to meet your minimum setback of 100 feet. We also require some property line setbacks. We were able to secure variances from the Falmouth Board of Health to allow relief from those property line setback variances to the leaching field and the pump chamber. The Board of Health issued a variance. It's been recorded at the registry. And we're here tonight in hopes of getting our permission to allow us to install the septic system. I'm happy to answer questions.
Thank you, Mike. Jen, you have anything?
Mike, there's only one thing. When Brendan and I, can I see that, were out in the field, there was a stake, you said the existing leach field was kind of...
It's right in, generally in here. We couldn't actually find it. The inspector couldn't find it, but the tank's here.
The tank's there, because there was a stake out in the field, like right to the west of the staircase, and there was a stake that said leach. So we didn't know if that's where the old leaching area was, so. All right, I mean, we were just kind of curious. We figured that, there was an old leaching field out there somewhere, so.
Yeah, there is, and we weren't able to find it, but it's going to be abandoned. It's going to be left in place and just abandoned.
Abandoned, okay.
Yeah.
All right, and what is just the methodology of removing the plants, storing them on site, or?
Yeah, so the tank in the line from the tank to the leaching field runs through that mitigation planting area. So the plants that are in this area would be removed and temporarily stored on this side of the property and you know, watered and maintained during the time that the excavation is done. And once the tank's installed and the pipe from the tank to the leaching field is installed and this is backfilled, those plants will go back and be either reused or supplemented with new plantings back to the previous pre-construction condition.
How are you gonna get down there?
Met with the contractor. There's a stone retaining wall here. The plan is to bring sand fill, create a ramp.
All right, okay, the sand ramp to get down there, because
Yeah.
are you gonna have to remove that big maple? There's
No.
like a nice maple in there.
Yeah, no.
I mean, I see all the shrubs, but there's a maple that you should probably just leave and
Yes.
kind of work around that.
Yes, I noticed that today too.
Yeah.
And no trees are proposed, just shrubs to be removed.
Removed, okay. And
Yes.
you think you can save that maple while it's in there? It's a pretty tree.
I believe, yes, it
Okay.
can be saved.
All right, that's it, Madam Chair. Brendan, do you have anything? No? Okay.
Thank you. Kevin?
I assume that the plan of record won't have the note on the house that says existing building to be renovated?
Nice catch, Mr. O'Brien.
That's correct. This should just say existing house. That's from a previous application, the one I referenced prior.
Excellent. Is that it, Kevin? That's it.
That's it, thank you.
Courtney?
The stone path that goes down on whatever side, south side,
Right over here?
yeah, that side,
Yeah.
is that actually a path or is that like a drainage swale?
I walked on that same path today, and I think it's just, I think it's erosion protection, like water
Yeah.
puddles and runs down that common boundary, and someone put some stone there to just mitigate against the erosion. There's not a lot of foot traffic there. There's no reason to be over there.
Now, the existing sewage disposal system, is that actually a Title V septic, or is it a couple of cesspools?
We were not able to find the system. We tried to go
That's
run
like-
through with a camera on a snake, and they couldn't get to it. The pipe was blocked. So we know it's the original septic. We don't know what the components are, and there was nothing on file, even at the Board of Health, for it. So I would assume it's not a cesspool because it would be in the water table, but
What
it's
about
likely
the-
to be a field.
What about the actual tank right under the deck?
Yeah, the tank is actually under the deck. We were able to run a transmitter down and find the tank, and then we popped some of the patio blocks and found the center cover of the old tank. It's an old center cover 1,000-gallon tank.
Right. So that'll all be dug out and filled in and,
Well, we're gonna pump it and fill it with sand and abandon it in place. Because
and I have to say this as a member of the commission, this is a very sensitive area. And I'm glad to see the septic system being upgraded, but wouldn't it be nice if this was a denitrifying system, given the location?
it would be very nice.
No other questions?
Thanks, Courtney. Betsy?
I have no questions. My questions were Jen's questions and your question. I didn't pick up your. I assumed they were gonna renovate the house.
No.
No, we saw that before.
Thank you.
Which leads to another question. And I'm trying to remember the order of conditions on that renovation. But was one of the conditions that there was no habitable space in the basement?
I can maybe recall, there was a question about bedrooms. There's 2 bedrooms in this house. The basement is finished. It's like a family room. In fact, you can only get to the basement. You cannot get to the basement from inside the house. You have to use an outside stairway down to
Right.
like this family room at the walkout level. There is a bathroom and a family room down there, but no bedrooms. The house only has 2 bedrooms in it. And the Board of Health made a condition that there could be no increase in bedrooms.
So the bed headboard that I saw down there leaning up against the wall when I looked through the slider window really wasn't there.
Well, it could be there. Who knows what people do inside for overflow with kids and things? Maybe it was stored. But I know this, that there's a condition there can be no more than 2 bedrooms in the house.
I have no other questions.
Okay. Jamie?
I have nothing, I think it's a great improvement.
Steve?
I concur.
Peter?
Yes. The, the pipes going from the house to the pump, where are they going to go?
The What we're planning, they're going to go from the general location of the existing tank. We know this, we know there's a pipe that leaves from the house to the tank. We do not know where the pipe is that leaves the tank and goes to the leaching field. So what we plan to do when this is uncovered to pump and fill with sand, we're going to uncover the inlet side of the pipe, and the contractor's going to reroute from the, I'm going to say the upstream side of the tank, around the tank, and over into the side of the tank, the pump chamber that is right here. So the pipe will go across this this patio, which will then be replaced and connect into the tank and this on the side in this location.
And there is no requirement for an electrical panel or something close to the pumping station?
There are two requirements, and it's on the details for this pump system. There's a requirement for, I think you're referring to an alarm for an audio. There's an audio alarm and a visual blinking light alarm requirement to be mounted someplace on the house that's in a visible location from the street.
Okay, but it won't be in the native plants or shrubs, it would be on the house.
It would be mounted on the house, yes.
Okay. I think it's a great improvement.
Thank you.
No comments.
Mark, okay, thank you.
Okay. Oh,
Go right ahead.
okay, but you were gonna ask a question.
No, I'm not.
I'll make a motion to close the hearing
Actually,
and
Madam Chair, I got one.
Good, we're
one
gonna
more.
have our motions first.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
sorry.
make a motion to close the hearing and take it under advisement.
Second?
All right, anything else from the board at this time? Brendan?
That retaining wall, it says you're gonna hand excavate to get the pipes underneath it.
Yes.
I mean, that's a 4 or 5 foot retaining wall. Are you gonna hand excavate on the lower side and machine on the other side?
We're actually going to, we're going to get the machine down onto this side and be able to excavate from the tank after it's installed with the machine, probably to a point about here. The sand ramp would then be here. He will work his way out over the sand ramp. He'll remove the sand. He'll continue to excavate to very close to the wall, and then he'll excavate on the other side of the wall, and that one little section in between will be done, excavated by hand. And that, by the way, is a 2-inch flexible pipe. Because it's a pump, it's a pressure line that'll pump up the hill under the wall to the distribution box.
Mike, who's doing the work? Do you know?
I believe it's going to be George Botello, but I don't know officially yet.
Okay. Cool.
Anybody has a question? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I go first?
Sure.
Where do the little bullseyes that are all down by the stone wall? Not that stone wall, the stone wall out by the driveway.
Shrubs.
These guys?
Yeah.
That's a row of shrubs.
Is that labeled anywhere?
There isn't a legend.
No, well, there's a legend, but the bullseye isn't
Sorry, you're right.
labeled. It's a row of like ornamental.
Could
Oh,
you add that when you, did you say?
It's
That's
a
an
little,
oak tree.
yeah, it's a little confusing because you've got an existing tree. Looks very similar in
Yeah.
the legend.
I can label it as shrubs. I know it's not trees.
Okay, great, thank you.
I'm happy to submit a revised plan with that and taking off the renovation note.
Great. Okay, Mark?
That septic tank's pretty deep, isn't it? It's below the groundwater.
I have one other question.
It won't be below the groundwater, no. It's,
The bottom, it looked like from the chart, just from the elevation, it looked like it was sort of like at 4 feet here. So you could-
actually,
Oh, that's
the very bottom
GW.
will be just The very bottom 6 to 9 inches could be in the water table if it's installed at the highest groundwater, estimated groundwater, so we indicate on the plan to the installer that he may encounter groundwater if he chooses to put it in at the highest groundwater. That being said, though, if you're suggesting dewatering, there's no need to dewater. They can install the tank in water without dewatering.
Yeah, and it's pretty far below grade. I'm just wondering, if you're like 12 or more feet into the sand, so you have to cut a pretty big hole to,
Yeah,
just a lot of plants have to get moved.
yes, unfortunately.
That's all. You're aware of it, so.
Mm-hmm.
All set.
That's all.
Courtney?
Yeah, these are just, I think you should submit a size cross-section on your septic, just to get the labeling clear. You make the comment, finished grade shall be, so forth and so on, using 4-inch diameter Schedule 40 or cast iron throughout. But on your section, you show a 2-inch force main. And your diagram shows 2-inch, not 4-inch, so I think you could make that clarification.
I can do that, yes. I can explain to you too, though, that the only part that's 2-inch force main is from the,
Yeah, it's from the pump chamber up to the,
Yep.
is it up to the distribution box?
yes, and then the rest
The
is
distribution from there, it's gravity.
gravity, PVC, 4-inch PVC.
All right. Anything else from the board on this application? Anything from the public?
It's just a matter of.
Yes, ma'am.
legal.
Please come on.
Hi there, my name is Deborah Gove, and I live 2 houses down from number 14 at number 18 Baker Lane. And I am really happy to see this septic system going in. Number 14 is the only house on the lane that I'm aware of, and I've been on the lane over 40 years, that still has a septic tank in whatever it was that was a leaching field on the marsh side of the house. So I'm delighted to see that. But I would also say at the same time that I want to see this work done in this environmentally sensitive area in as least destructive mode as possible. So I want to do 2 things tonight. I just want to make one comment from myself on the plan, and then I would like to read a letter into the record that comes from the owners of number 10 Maker Lane, which is exactly the abutter on the property line where the septic system is going to go. So anyway, my comment is essentially that I would ask, and this probably isn't a Concom issue, but I would just ask that the construction, as it's ongoing, inform the neighbors of when the lane will be blocked with the leach field so close to the lane and big trucks doing the digging. There will be times that I'm sure we can't get by, and if it's very frustrating, there's been a lot of construction on the lane in the last few years to drive up and we can't get by. So if we can have some advance warning, we can move our cars, we can plan for trash, we can do all those things knowing that we can't get by. So I guess that would be my really only request while this work is going on. So anyway, with that, I would like to read this letter, and I have copies that I will pass on. Anyway, it's to the Conservation Commission from Dr. Elizabeth B. Gardner and Dr. Raymond P. Poinsalot from 10 Maker Lane. They wrote this letter yesterday and emailed it to me. It says, we, the undersigned, Dr. Elizabeth B. Gardner and Dr. Raymond P. Poinsalot, attest that Elizabeth B. Gardner is the owner of the property at 10 Maker Lane, abutting number 14 Maker Lane, where the septic tank installation is proposed. Being unable to attend, we have asked our neighbor and friend, Dr. Deborah Hutchinson Gove, to read our statement to the members of the Conservation Commission and request that it be incorporated into the minutes. Earlier, we had discussed with Deborah our concerns about a magnificent oak tree which is close to or on the property line with number 14 Maker Lane. After Deborah had examined the plans and diagrams and sent us her thoughts vis-a-vis our property and the proposed excavation, it deepened our concerns. We thank her for her research and explanations. In addition, one of us, RPP Ray Poinsalot, has expertise in botany and environmental science and therefore feels very well grounded in raising our concerns. Our primary concern is that the proposed excavation of the septic tank is 12 feet deep at a distance of 5 feet from our property line. Given the depth and structural instability of sand, which is the soil at the location, potential collapse of the excavation during digging near our boundary could result in damage to our property, and vegetation near the property line. This is in an area determined to be a protected resource area on the number 14 plot plan, and is presumably also a protected resource area on our land. Our second concern is for root damage to the magnificent oak tree near the property line, near where the leach field is proposed because of the proximity of excavation. We request that the Conservation Commission consider imposing the requirement of a shift of the excavation site as far away from our property line as an independent engineer would deem feasible. Should a shift not be possible for some reason, we would request decreasing the depth of the tank to minimize collapse during excavation. Should that not be possible, we would then request that at least the Commission require a temporary stabilizing wall to prevent collapse of the excavation wall at our property line. Given that the soil is largely sand, there is an increased likelihood that a 12-foot excavation would collapse, causing damage to our property. Should damage result to our property and vegetation, we would expect that the Weiners would be legally and financially responsible for the remediation of said damage to our property. Thank you for your consideration in this matter. Sincerely, Elizabeth B. Gardner and Raymond P. Poinsalot.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, Mike.
And I can give you copies of
Please
what
do, yes.
I need at least one for the record.
Yeah.
I have. I'm not sure how many I have. There's also a cross-section in there that shows actual topography with the septic system. I'm afraid this is out.
You're up.
That's fine.
So one of your copies can be.
All right, so Mr. Borselli is going to address these concerns.
Yeah, I recognize the abutter's concern. In fact, I think it's wise for me to, instead of, you have a motion on the floor to close, and there are a couple plan revisions you wanted. I think there might be an opportunity to move the tank away from the lot line and away from the tree to mitigate the concerns. So I'd like to consult with the installer and see if I can move the tank over and still not interfere with any other trees. I don't have quite as much concern as the abutter, but I'm not going to dispute their concerns. They're real, and if we can find a way to make them less concerning, then I'd like to do that. So I would need time to talk to the contractor.
All right, so you're requesting a continuance.
Unless you feel as though you can close and allow me, with a condition that would allow me to submit a revised plan.
I don't see any reason not to continue, do you, Jen?
No, not at all.
Okay.
I think it's a pretty straightforward thing. I'd submit a revised plan if I can move it. If I can't, I'd explain why I can and maybe put some shoring. But I'd rather not have to do the shoring if I can find a way to shift it a little bit further from the property line. There might be a chance I can do that.
Well, we need a revised plan anyway. So. All right, so we need, you can say what you want, but we're going to need the motion withdrawn also.
Well, I withdraw the motion.
Okay, thank you.
I just want to, what do you have for test pit information on that, where your leaching field is going?
There's a test pit on page 2 of the plan.
Yeah. And what does it show? Oh, I see.
Medium sand material, we did the test hole right here. We expect there'll be sand, it could be fairly large thing. We don't expect there to be such a collapse. I don't believe that the excavation is 12 feet, but it's not 3 feet. So it's a reasonable concern, and I think we have an opportunity. I might be able to turn the tank and move it a little bit closer to where the pipe would exit and get it further from the property line and get it, the tree that they're referencing is here. We're about 15 feet from the tree. We are 5 feet from the property line. So if there's a chance to shift the tank,
Yeah, let's go
I'd
for it.
like to do that.
Great.
We need a date, though.
Try to do that.
That's great. Did you have something, Jamie?
Yeah, just questioning the variance you've already achieved. Will this affect that?
No, because we'd be lessening it. I mean, we'd be further, we asked for
But you won't be closer to the house?
as long as I maintain 5 feet or more from the house, I'll be fine.
Yeah.
Madam Chair.
Jen?
Brenna.
Oh, Brent.
When the abutter letter was talking about the roots of the tree, were they referring to that 15-inch oak or the 22-inch oak? There's a 15 right on the property line, but also up by the retaining wall, there's a 22-inch oak.
It's the large oak that's on the Gardner Points lot property, right next to the leach field and right next to the road.
Oh, okay, so it's
So
the
22.
22-inch.
22-inch oak.
So that's a different,
Oh, that oak.
what do you think about that, Mike?
I have no concerns with that.
That's further away.
It's 5 feet off, it's into their land, and the leaching field will only be, it won't be excavated 12 feet in the ground. It'll only be excavated about 3 feet. It can be no, it has to be no deeper than 3 feet from the ground surface, and it's about 2 feet tall, so it's about a 5-foot excavation. I don't see that as any issue at all.
So those roots shouldn't be an issue.
If that's the concern, I don't see a
that
need to
letter.
continue it, if it's that tree.
The letter.
Yeah, but you were willing to continue it because you were worried about the
Yes,
tree that was on the line.
I still think we could do that.
So why don't we continue it,
I'm
try to
happy
move
to,
it further from the line?
I'm more concerned about the collapse over to the property
Yeah.
line.
Yeah.
Right.
And time is not of the, I mean, time is important, but I think it's worth a 2-week continuance, if we can do a 2-week continuance.
You can do it till the 22nd, Mike, where they're not meeting on the 15th.
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
So at the request of the
Oh,
applicant.
one more thing,
Wait,
Betsy.
wait.
I can still make a motion.
Oh, I know, I just wanted to.
Well, we haven't had the second withdrawn.
Or I'll withdraw.
At the request of the applicant, I make a motion to continue this to the 22nd of August.
Have a second?
Yeah, and
Second.
All right, thank you. Yes, Jen?
Mike, can you just add a note on the plan when Peter was asking you about the piping into the house? You made a comment that the patio was going to have to be, dismantled, and can you just make a note that the patio is going to have to, be removed and then reconstructed in order to do the piping to the house, please?
Yes.
Thank you.
Courtney?
would you go over we are gonna install that new septic. Looks like about 65 feet from where the edge of the road is. And how are you gonna get that down there again? You gonna use a crane?
This,
Yeah,
what we're gonna
I
do
mean,
is,
because you could set a crane right there and with a long boom and just drop it in.
yes, but we need to get here to excavate the hole. The excavator can hoist the tank, so the excavator is gonna hoist the tank. We're gonna add sand fill over this wall to create a ramp to get the excavator to come down to the place where the tank has to be.
I mean, you could use a mini excavator to excavate that hole and use a crane to drop it in.
I don't
It'd
know
be
that
less
that's.
disturbing, I think.
I don't know that you could do that. I can.
Well, you got a continuance look into it.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Do we have any more comment from the board? Anything more from the public? All right, all those in favor of continuing the hearing to August 22nd, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, unanimous, so moved. Thank you, Mike, thank you for your comments.
I don't really need it, just one of the main problems.
Next, we have Geraldine Klein Robenhar, 217 Sippawisset Road, Falmouth, Massachusetts, for permission to construct a 9-by-10 addition to the existing single-family dwelling and associated excavating, grading, and landscaping.
don't have a yoga class today.
We did. We did, and had fun with the parking, too. I got to meet all the construction people down the street.
Again, for the record, Mike Borselli, representing the applicant. The applicant owns a property at number 217 Sipawisset Road. There's an existing single-family dwelling, driveway, landscaping, gardens, lawn areas. The property contains approximately 1 acre of land. Nearby and within 100 feet of the proposed activities is a coastal bank, which is shown on the plan, which is effectively coincident with the flood boundary by definition. Nearby and more than 100 feet from the work, but still shown on the plan, is a bordering vegetated wetland. The work proposed for the project is construction of a 9-foot by 10-foot addition on this corner of the house, on the landward side of the house, in the outer buffer zone B of the coastal bank. It is more than 100 feet from all other wetlands except coastal bank. The size of the addition is 90 square feet. Your requirements require a mitigation at a ratio of 2 to 1. We're proposing 180 square feet of mitigation planting, as well as one eastern red cedar, which is required for the first 1,000 square feet of mitigation that is required. I discovered today from the applicant, she's an avid gardener, and subsequent to when we had done the survey, she had already planted some plants in this area, including some raspberry bushes that are fully fruited, and she's very encouraged that raspberry actually made it in that location. And although we show the 180 square feet of mitigation, we're hopeful that we can work with Jen on the site to adjust its actual location if you're willing to approve the project, and shift it around so that that small, I think there's 3 raspberry bushes there, can remain. And I think the project's a fairly simple, straightforward project, and there's no proposed construction activities on the water side of the house. All the work is proposed between the house and Sipawisset, except for the mitigation planting. So I think it's an approvable project, and it's pretty straightforward, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mike. Jen?
I would be happy to work with Mike in the field to site the plants, so you guys don't have to continue this, so that's fine.
As long as we get bushel basket of,
I'm not
Take
asking
our pound
that.
of raspberries. Okay, Mark?
No comments.
Peter?
No comment.
Steve?
No comment.
Jamie? Betsy?
I have a comment. We always say, where are you gonna put the air conditioning, where are you gonna put whatever? And there's something there. I don't know what, I think it's one of the things that you just had to replace. I think it's a compressor.
Yeah, the air conditioner right there.
So where is that gonna go?
You mean there's an air conditioner here?
Yeah.
Yes.
Where the addition goes now.
I was so excited to see it, because I said, wow, he didn't show where it's gonna go, and I'm sure they still want it.
It'd go right next to the addition, I would assume. It wouldn't go anywhere on this side of the house, of course. It would be adjacent to the addition, I would assume.
Okay. Didn't you notice it there?
He was leaving that for you to find.
He got
Make sure you were-
sidetracked with the raspberries.
Yeah, that's true.
I went right for the raspberries.
You were looking at the raspberries?
What's more amazing is that Jamie didn't ask the question.
I was actually looking at the tomatoes, but
All set, Betsy?
Yeah.
Courtney?
No questions.
Kevin?
No question.
All right.
I move that we, oh, you have a question?
No, well, my question was if we have anything from Brenda or Jen, I thought you were just.
Nope.
I move that we close the hearing and take it under advisement.
Second.
All right, anything else from the board? Anything from the public? All right, all those in favor of saying, closing the hearing, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, unanimous, so moved.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, continued request for a hearing under a notice of intent, Joan Foster, care of Jack Foster, Lot 11 Chase Road, map 14-15A-002C-011, West Falmouth, Massachusetts. This was first read into the record quite a long time ago, so I will read it again. For permission to construct a new single-family two-bedroom house with attached deck, stairs, install vinyl sheeting to a depth of 8 feet to mitigate for trench collapse, nitrogen reduction septic system, dry wells, utilities, gravel driveway, implement an invasive species management and restoration plant, and the associated clearing, excavating, grading, and landscaping. Request for a variance under FWR 1013 from the performance standards set out in FWR 1018, 1018-4, 1018-5A1A, 1018-5A3B, 1018-5A3E, and 1018-7E5.
No, I can read it.
You want to read it?
Yes, Madam Chairman, we have a letter from the applicant's attorney that says, "Dear Ms. Schumacher, please accept this request to withdraw the notice of intent in the above reference matter. The applicant, Mrs. Foster, has sold the subject property, Lot 11 Chase Road, to her abutters, Mr. and Mrs. Austin. As a result, the applicant no longer wishes to proceed with the notice of intent."
Period.
Yes, this is very welcome news. This was going to be a contentious matter, so.
So, I don't put anything in, right?
No, just
As to who was
withdraw.
here?
All right, next, Donald and Nancy Colleran, 11 Foster Road, East Falmouth, Massachusetts, for permission to remove wood bulkhead wall and replace with 100 linear feet of stone riprap wall, remove wood ramp and steps, and construct stone steps, and construct 40 linear feet of fiber rolls, and all associated excavating and grading.
We do have green cards.
Good evening, Jeff.
Hi, good evening. I'm Jeff Ryther with BSS Design. I represent Don and Nancy Colleran this evening. This is at 11 Foster Road, East Falmouth. On the plan, the resource areas are shown as, I'll come over and show you. Land under the ocean, coastal beach, your coastal bank, and land subject to coastal storm flowage over the entire lot. That flood zone is noted here. It's a DE flood zone. So the project is to remove an old wood retaining wall made of creosote timber. And that's that linear line that's sort of engulfed by the proposed riprap. But right along here, there's a 4-foot-high wall, and it also shows up in section AA. So that's to come out. It's missing some boards at the bottom. It's rotting. The soils are coming out from the bottom. Also, at your end of the of the wall is wood steps to come out. That's the east end of the bulkhead. Each end of the project that matches into some other projects you've probably seen in the past. There is one with riprap and one with sand fill for a dune on either end. You see the mean high water line, that's 35 feet from the wall. I show you that because, you know, it's pretty far distance from the proposed project. So the project is to, again, remove the old wall, replace it with the 100, initially said 100 feet, but it's 105 feet under the revision. And by the way, there's a revision on the far end of the plan.
12 or so feet.
If you look at section AA, it'll show again the location of the current wall and the proposed riprap wall. So both end up in the same location at the toe here. So we're not coming onto the beach, but we are going into the lot with the proposed stonework. Excuse me about the cold here. We also would like to install a 4-foot wide new stone riprap built into the stonework. Right now there's a wooden stairway that got torn off, and there's just a little ramp there. So we'd like to get rid of all the wood and go with stone. At the, this is the east side. This is the stone steps here. And on the east side of that, we have proposed is 40 foot linear feet of fiber roll. And that's shown in section BB here. So that'll be fiber rolls for the extreme storm, and it'll also help stabilize this wall. We also have erosion control blanket, plants, American beach grass, 12 inches on center, and that'll be here at this end of the project. So we have this wall at 1.5 to 1, blending into our project, which is 1 to 1, and then back blending into the project to the east with the fiber roll and sand fill. And then there's new proposed plantings across the top. One more thing. This used to be an old walkway across the shoreline years ago, and the remnants are there across the beach, and we would like to remove that old creosote timber. I call it kind of jagged, sticking up, so it's a nuisance to the family that swims here. And that about does it. I do have one more comment about access. It's here on the plan. So this septic is an H20 loading septic, so be able to drive over that with trucks. The stonework would be delivered down through here and come to this path, and that'll be the main access. That's about it. I'll take your questions.
Thank you, Jeff. Jen?
Couple of things, Jack. So you're gonna lay the wall down back on the bank and keep the toe stone where the existing wall is, like we talked about in the office, correct?
Correct. I showed
Okay.
here on the plan.
So that's like 12 feet back into that property.
Oh, I don't think it's quite that.
It's not 12 feet high.
Well, when you scale it out with the scale 1 inch equals 5 feet, it's about 12 feet.
Well, it might be out of scale there, but on the plan, it's about a 6-foot wide footprint. I think it's 5, maybe even 5 foot across here. And then it flares off and matches into this wall.
All right, look at your riprap section A when you get a chance, Jeff. My other thing is, you're extending that wall past the path into that little dune area to build the stone steps into it.
Here?
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is kind of dying into the, instead of just ending the wall, we rolled it into the bank. And so that's what that's all about.
A return, kind of?
Yeah, it's a return. And then I've overlapped the fiber rolls into it. So there's not like this budding of materials that don't hold up.
Okay. And then we still have the fiber rolls in that dune area.
Well, I'm not sure how to just end it with just sand. I thought it would be best to have the replacement of the hard solution here, transitioning into fiber rolls, which is soft engineering, transitioning into the dune on this project here. There's an SC number here for that project.
Okay. I mean, Jeff and I met, and Jeff, myself, and Brendan met in the office, and I had asked Jeff to revise the plan not to have that wall encroach further onto the beach, the original, as the original design did. So I'm happy to see that you're holding the existing, where the existing structure is, and then laying it back onto the property if you have to have a wall. We did talk about potentially the use of a sheet piling instead of the stone revetment, but they came back with a revised plan with a stone revetment, so. And then the staff is still considering the use of the fiber rolls in that dune area. Before, they weren't covered. The revised plan has them covered with sand to make them more of a dune area, but I do have some concerns with that. I don't want to start getting into even soft solution, trying to like armor, even with a soft solution, a dune area. I have no issue with removing the old timbers along the shoreline. We're chasing those things all the way down this area, so that's fine. And those are my only comments.
Thank you, Jim.
Not a problem.
Betsy?
Jeff, when was this house built?
Well, it was built, original was the turn
No, I don't want
of
the,
last
I don't
century.
want when the original house on this lot was built. I want to know when this house was built.
I don't have the answer, but I think it's about 10 years ago.
About 10 years ago. I'm not comfortable with having riprap here at all. I think this skates the building a new house, not having riprap. And I could live with the sheet piling or even a soft solution here. But I think adding more riprap is going to cause much more erosion, whether you have biologs there around the corner or not.
Okay.
Okay, that's, so.
Oh,
So the other comment that I have, Jeff, is, I don't see a professional land surveyor stamp on this, and I don't see resource areas. It's in the velocity zone. I mean, I don't see any resource areas, but.
They're labeled here. Land under the ocean, coastal beach. I have top of coastal bank. And then the whole area is noted. Here is flood zone VE, elevation 14, which is beyond the lot.
Right.
Well, we can see that now, but we don't have any elevations on the lot to know what the lot elevation is.
Well, there are a few.
There's contours all across the beach.
This is
And then there's
6 or 9.
contours here.
Oh, okay. Those are my comments.
Courtney?
Just sort of following along on Betsy's thing. That wooden bulkhead, when was that constructed?
Well, that's a good question. It's a hard, let me get you something here, Court, and I'll
Did that have a bill?
Should.
I mean, I,
pass that down.
clearly, the regulations don't allow for hard armoring, but they allow you to repair what existed, assuming it was there prior to a certain time. So some of the issues that you're facing here need to be looked at. I would absolutely agree with Betsy that if, this is this bulkhead is a recent addition, and this would be since the regulatory
Well,
cutoff.
it shows up
then-
on the
then you'd have to
75
do a
topo.
soft solution.
The paper you left in front of you there shows the wall
That's right.
in 1975,
The wood bulkhead.
the wood bulkhead, which is creosote.
Can I see
So
that,
the
Betsy?
question
Now,
is,
one thing I would like to,
if the reconstruction of a new house 10 years ago, does that trump the regulation?
well, I
I don't
cannot say
know.
also that,
I'm asking these questions. Because-
I'm going to answer one here.
Let him answer.
The house that's shown on that plan that I just gave you is 45 feet back from the wall, and this house is 45 feet back from the wall. So when this was proposed, it was, my guess, it was to match the location of that existing house. So it's not like we're moving forward and then asking for a wall. There was a wall there prior to this house being built.
So the other issue that I see here is assuming that your argument is that replacing a pre-existing wood bulkhead with a stone armoring, the question is that a measurable improvement, and does that violate the spirit of the regulations which forbid hard armoring? I'm not trying to
Well,
say,
in
no,
my
you can't
opinion,
do
it's
it.
the
I'm
better
posing
solution.
some questions here about,
Well, I
the
mean,
fine
if
points
you
of
have
the
a
regulation.
vertical wall like this and the storm comes, the big one, it's going to batter that wall and deflect off of 90-degree face. Whereas if you have the riprap with a pitch of 1-to-1,
But I mean, you're building
the
that
waves will
wall
break on
higher
it
than
and it'll
the.
come up onto the lawn. So I think it's a better solution than I can see a vertical wall inland in a little marina or something, but not on the shoreline. No, this is a better solution.
But if but the new structure that you're proposing is a foot higher than the existing wood wall?
Approximately, yes. Again, it's drawn here pretty
I'm
much the
not
same.
sure that that's permitted. I think if you replace in kind or same elevation, I mean, I don't know. I'm posing these questions to you, for food for
Well,
thought.
the earth is about 5 feet, and the wall is about 4 feet, so I wanted to match into the earth and behind. So it turns out to be a 5-foot
Why can't you
high
just
wall.
slope the grade?
Probably could.
This is the one that was.
Yeah, I mean,
We could lower it down.
I'm ambivalent about this. If I sound like I'm trying to give you a hard time, Jeff, no, I'm just posing these questions.
Jeff,
That's
you'll
enough.
put that in the record, okay?
Sure.
Kevin?
I believe the neighbor to the west has what looks like a recently constructed soft solution, I would say. New plantings and sand.
We're talking, when you say west, here?
No.
You meant east.
East, I'm sorry, east.
Okay.
East, yeah.
Yes, that's mainly sand with beach grass.
Yeah. And I'm just wondering why you think that this case deserves to have a hard solution as opposed to a soft solution.
Well, currently, there is a hard solution, which, in my opinion, it's causing issues in this location here. You know, there's erosion, wraps, these contours kind of turn hard, and that's because
Where the existing walls
storms are coming in from the southwest.
Yeah.
He's just doing.
Wait a
Working that
minute.
corner.
I don't want to have two conversations going on.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. We can't, we can't address, take both in at once. So, would you, I don't know if you finished what you wanted to say, but would you say it again?
I was just saying that we were trying to match this slope into a wall that's back here, so that's why I'm proposing the soft solution here, or soft engineering. It does have some fiber rolls in it, but that's to protect it, when the bigger storm comes. It'll wash away the toe, probably expose that. If you noticed over here on this one, this is one of these hard engineered solutions with sand on top, and half the sand is missing today. I'm sure they put it back, and they keep this riprap underneath this veneer, the sand. So I thought that was a little bit peculiar. I got to match into that too, so that's why we're flaring from 1.5 to 1 to 1 to 1.
Kevin, did you want to?
I just, my problem with it is that we're accepting that wooden bulkhead as a hard solution. Therefore, you can use another hard solution in putting in the riprap. And, I mean, I really think we're talking apples and oranges here as far as the solution is concerned. I'm not trying to say that the wooden wall is an adequate solution. It's definitely, it's just go out and look at it and all the sand that's gone below and in back of it. But does that justify us saying, okay, we can go against what is the regulations as I understand it? And that's my angst at this point.
Mark?
I think I agree with Jeff that a riprap solution is better than a vertical barrier solution, whether it be plastic or wood, from an erosion issue.
Thank you.
I can't recall what's on the adjacent property on the bank. Can you remind me?
Which this
On
one?
the sand side.
On here, well, these contours indicate the,
What's on that? Is there just grass or is there something?
yeah, they're beach grass.
The beach grass is really horrible in that kind of situation. It doesn't stabilize things. I'd sure like to see plants rather than beach grass.
Well, these plants are good up top, but these sand faces wouldn't hold a shrub. It's very arid. So,
I'm glad at least you got it at a decent slope, at least on the plan. So it may stay there a little
and
longer.
here again, there's a riprap wall beneath that sand. There's no plantings on this one.
Of course. Right.
Right.
Well,
No, but I'm saying if you want to put a sand.
I don't have any questions, I guess.
All right, thanks, Mark. Peter?
Yes. Did you consider having the sort of plastic or some hard material at the one-to-one slope as similar to the rock? Because the rocks are in the regulations that they are very strict on additional rocks. And if you had some type of plastic boards or something, instead of the rocks, to replace the,
On an angle?
yeah, the angle, to replace the creosote wood.
I'm not sure how they be installed, to be honest with you.
Well,
They're typically, pounded down from with a vertical face.
well, I'm just suggesting that the regulations are very specific and hard to meet to add a hard rock.
Well, I'm not sure it's actually reads exactly that way, but, I mean, we're replacing hard for hard, I mean, whether it's wood or stone. You know, that bulkhead wasn't built to fall apart in a storm, but it's about ready to.
Well, I would have to look up the regulations, but I think the rock is singled out as very hard to justify. No further questions?
Thank you, Peter. Steve?
Thank you, yes. I think everybody cited the regulations accurately. And the apparent problems with the other riprap wall and the erosion over towards the public access from Davisville Road, they're all deteriorating. I originally thought that the riprap was an improvement over the wood retaining wall. But it seems clear that we're not allowed to do that. So, and the not functioning riprap walls to the west. And I'd have to look at the one at the east again, to be honest with you, to evaluate that. But I do have some concerns that this just isn't allowed.
Jane? Yeah, I don't really have anything to add. I have same reservations about this. Betsy?
So, you suggested, so, let's get back to what we're trying to do here. We're trying to protect the erosion of the coastal bank that's out in front of this house. And if we were to use sheet piling, which would go in, you drive in, right?
Mm-hmm.
X number of feet,
Yes.
and put sacrificial sand in front of it,
Yep.
then it would alleviate the issue we were talking about in a storm. It would at least buffer the energy of that storm for, until it all got washed away, which it eventually would, and you'd have to replace it. But that way, you'd be replacing a vertical wall with a vertical wall, but you'd still be providing additional protection for,
Still a hard surface.
but so's the vertical wall that's there.
Jeff, I want you to do a little bit more investigation of when that wall went in. If you're using,
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
if you're using the symbol on this topo, right? This symbol matches this symbol up here. This symbol up here is a fence. So I don't know.
Well, I mean, these are done from aerial photography. So
I understand that, I understand, but if there's any more research you could do regarding that.
There's not a whole lot you can do unless you find the person that.
Yeah, I understand, but I
Okay,
mean,
I
I'm having trouble accepting this and that little symbol which
Yeah.
matches the fence as evidence that there was a coastal engineering structure there, that's all. And I just saw this, so I didn't see this the other day when you showed it to us, so I didn't have a chance to
Yeah.
tell you
Well,
that.
to be honest with you, I just thought about it today. I said, wow, look at that old stuff.
Well, why not, you know? and-
1975 Toba, that's before the commission was ever around.
So I'm just gonna read something to the board, and it comes right out of your
At least
rec.
he didn't color it for us.
Yes, he did, he colored it in yellow.
Yeah,
A little bit.
All
Yeah.
right,
did.
thanks,
That's
Jen.
fine. So basically, what the regulations say, and they pretty much mirror each other with slight language differences, is that, you know, no new blah, 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 blah. No new engineering structure, seawall, growing engineering shall be permitted on a coastal bank. Prevent storm damage, where am I looking at? Includes it. A coastal engineering structure or modification thereto shall be designed and constructed as to minimize, using best available measures, adverse effects on adjacent nearby coastal beaches due to changes in wave action. Changes in wave action. The applicant must demonstrate that no method of protecting the building other than the proposed coastal engineering structure is feasible, and that protective planting designs to reduce erosion may be permitted. So that's what the act says, and the bylaw says pretty much the same thing, although they add best available measures utilized to minimize, no, pretty much says the same thing. Oh, wait, the applicant demonstrates that no method of protecting the building other than the proposed engineering structure is feasible. Moving the building into an alternate location in the same lot under the ownership or control of the applicant may be presumed feasible. That's not feasible, but, that's what the regulations say on an existing coastal engineering structure. So minimize the impacts, use best available measures, and minimize the adverse adverse effects on the beach. So Betsy's idea may be a better option with the sacrificial sand in the front. I mean, when the staff was first looking at this, we did think about putting a vertical wall against, the sound like that. And, that's something that, the staff struggled with when reviewing this with Jeff the first time. I'm uncomfortable all around with the wall option. I'm uncomfortable with a sheer wall option as well. What Courtney said is correct. Where's the top of the existing bulkhead wall and where's the proposed top of this wall? Are they the same, Jeff?
They're close.
They're close, okay.
Yeah.
How close?
Within 6 inches, probably.
That's close enough for me.
And it is eroded behind for about 3 feet in.
Yeah, I know, yeah. And then the core fiber rolls under the dune, the staff is just not comfortable with. But, I mean, those are just what the regulations say, so just wanted to clarify that for you.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, of course.
So about the fill in front of a vertical wall, that would extend out, if it was to the top of the wall, would extend out maybe about 6, 7 feet. So they'd be losing that much beach, perhaps.
Would turn into beach right away.
Yeah, after one good storm, it probably would. But again, remember, this isn't, these other two properties are a little bit closer to the shore. This one here is a little bit further back.
Well, the property to the east, the one that Kevin was talking about, that sand dune comes fairly far out into the beach, and they still have a beach area.
It seemed to be just done.
Yeah, can I see those pictures?
You know, it's,
again?
the sand certainly doesn't
So, I
match the
mean,
beach sand.
We've permitted a lot of these sacrificial dunes and these beach nourishment projects along Foster Road like that. So. Oh, okay.
Well, it looks like you would like a continuance.
That's an option if you would like to mull over all your alternatives. Come up with something.
Have a date?
Courtney?
Yeah, I mean, one of the factors that's playing into the dynamics of this, those groins.
It's true.
You know, and, you know, I'm not so sure I have a heart attack about a vertical wall versus a slope wall, as long as the slope wall is no bigger or closer to the, and since it's moving away. And the other thing is it's tending to blend in with what's there, and it makes a transition into the fiber walls.
So you want a Hadrian's Wall around Falmouth?
Hmm?
You want Hadrian's Wall built around Falmouth? We
Well,
could do that all the way around, and that would make a
no,
lot of people
I mean, we
happy.
wouldn't even be consider permitting this if there wasn't already an existing wall there. I mean, that goes without saying. Now, if that wall was built after the dates on the regulations, then, you know, he has no choice but to do a soft solution
Yeah, but he
there. So that's
says
his first homework.
Sort of a
that He
combined.
shows
But whether-
paperwork that shows it was
If he,
built
if he's
before that.
gonna, continue with a hard solution, in my mind, it doesn't matter whether it's vertical or slopes back, as long as it isn't any higher than what's there.
Isn't it pretty clear that if you chose to, he could just replace that wooden
I
bulkhead
think
with
you
a
just-
plastic?
If it's a legally
If it's legal.
permitted wall,
If it's a permitted wall,
we
right?
don't know that.
And that
Well,
would be
Excuse me,
a piece
please?
of cake from his point of view.
Well-
I don't know if it'd be as good as a stone from a wave action point of view. This beach is, I mean, he's lucky those two groins keep the waves away, really. It's pretty well protected.
Yeah.
Right. So, yeah, actually, on the question of continuing, we do have other information that we would like to get.
Right.
So the continuance, here's
So
the,
the map, the 1975 map, I take it isn't good enough.
I don't, well, we need.
if you can get me a legend that says that symbol is a bulkhead wall, Jeff, like, I'd have to go look and see what the legend.
Well, it's like you said, but you don't install fences across the shoreline.
You don't install the boardwalk they installed along that
No,
entire
that-
area
that's
either,
actually
but they
shown there.
did, and now we're pulling out the remnants of it,
Yeah.
so.
Did you notice it in there on that
What?
little,
I mean,
the bulkhead there's a second bulkhead out there, which is the walkway.
Oh, yeah, look at that.
Yeah? Same symbol, by the way.
Yeah, it's also the same symbol as the little fence up here, which still exists today, because we just pulled up the aerial photo of that property. I'm not giving you a hard time, Jeff, I'm just saying, like, this is a little vague for me, you're killing me right here.
There's not much out there.
I know, I know.
in my mind, before we have a discussion about the shape of what you're gonna do, you have to come in and demonstrate that, under FWR 10.30, that what was there meets these criteria, that it existed before a certain time, and all of that. You have to meet that test. If you don't meet that test, you're into fiber core rolls.
Just call it a day. As far as the continuance goes, here's the issue with the 22nd. You have 6 notices of intent already for the 22nd. You just continued one to the 22nd. Your 6 notices are fairly involved.
The continuation shouldn't be, but
I'll take the next.
After
No,
that,
after
Jeff,
that.
we're looking at September 12th. So, because they don't meet for 2 weeks after the 22nd. So what would you like to do? If the board says the 22nd is fine, I'm game to be here late. But if you're willing to take the 12th,
I'd rather take 2 weeks later.
do you want the 12th? Okay, so that would be
Is there
September.
anybody here,
it would be 3 weeks later, right?
anybody related to this applicant? Okay. I was just gonna ask.
At the request of the applicant,
It would be
I
September 12th, Jeff.
make a motion to continue to September 12th.
All right, anything else from the board? Anything from the public before we take a vote? All right, all those in favor of continuing to September 12th, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, unanimous, so moved. Thank you.
So, Jeff, if you're gonna submit something like this, can you,
Yeah, we'll do that, Joe.
I was gonna ask.
I
you-
understand what you were trying to do, Jeff, it's just a little vague for me, so if you
Yeah,
could get me
provide
some
more
more information
about
on the
date
topo,
of the
that would be
photo, et
great.
cetera.
Yeah, just give me more information on your topo, and I can look at it, okay?
Yeah.
If not, I'm gonna color in all the little walls.
I was gonna color in the trees.
So the,
Madam Chairman, for the next couple of things, I would just ask to, if we request to take 2 items out of order. I would like to take the vote order of conditions for 4345 Dusty Miller. I'd like to do that first, and after that, I'd like to skip down to other business and do the review and approve of a revised plan for Lot 77 Muskegee.
which,
I'll make a motion to that effect if we need it.
And I'll second that, this one and this one. She wants to do that one
If you don't mind, Madam Chairman.
and that. So we have a motion on the table.
yeah,
to do that.
okay, I understand. So, do we have the motion?
Yeah, she made it and I seconded it.
Okay, I'm sorry. All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, unanimous, so moved.
Madam Chairman,
Yes,
am I on quorum for the rest of the votes?
oh, good question.
No, you're not, Peter. You
That
were
means you
not
go
on
get
the
us all
quorum for
copies.
any of the orders of conditions, so you may want to stay for the review and approve revised plan for Lot 77 Muskegee.
For the Muskegee, so that
You
would
don't
be-
have to, but
Well, we're gonna take one thing, well,
Let's take that one first.
we want to just take that now?
that's fine.
All right. All right, thank you, Peter. Okay,
Which one are we doing?
so we are going to review, next item is to review and approve, or review and vote revised plan for Lot 77 Muskegee Road.
Yes, Madam Chairman. So I had, everybody got a copy of this in your packets.
Yes,
Everybody have that?
it wasn't dated,
Steve's
by the
looking-
way, for, I had
Oh,
no
I didn't have a
indication
date on it. I
as to when the
apologize.
hearing was. I brought it with me, but I,
I apologize for that, Madam Chairman. That was my fault. We got it last week. So basically,
Oh, I saw that.
you want my plan, Steve?
I've never really looked at that.
Jamie, do you have
You can
yours?
share one.
Okay, so
Thank you.
basically, the board had, issued an order of conditions for this property. One of the conditions,
Read that.
was that, the limit of work had to be a certain distance, beyond the house needed to be a certain distance beyond the limit of work.
Have to be 10
Yeah,
feet.
10 feet off the limit of work. There was an appeal to that order. There was a decision by a Superior Court upholding your order. So the applicant has come back, has revised the plan, and has shown a 10-foot, basically no structure zone between the limit of work and the structure. The order of conditions did state that you had to approve, this board had to approve the revised plan, so that's why you all got a copy. Very straightforward.
I move that we approve.
Second.
all right, any questions or comments from the board? Any comments from the public?
Yeah, I have one comment.
All right,
So, is part of the condition that we're delineating where that A zone is?
Yeah, well,
in the field?
that's,
Can that be a condition of this?
well, you have your A zones on the plan.
No, I mean in the field, so that's where the limit of work is, but after the
Oh,
work's
have a
done.
revised limit of work.
no, Betsy's saying something else, to delineate.
Yeah, the limit of work is still gonna be at the A zone, but when they're done with all their work, can that be delineated with a fence?
That's in the order condition.
I believe that's in the
Oh, it
order of
already is.
conditions.
Oh, okay,
Okay,
thanks.
thank you.
I have a question.
Jamie
fine.
has asked to speak.
I'm just curious on the, can you flip-flop the reserve area? Would that help you with the variance?
No, I mean, I've had a few people look at that, and there's no way I can do that, but as it is
Mr.
right now-
Cacciadorni, I'm sorry, you have to go up to the microphone, I apologize.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Mike Cacciadorian, applicant. Right now, that garage, well, I'm trying to get a garage on the property, and the garage, standard garage normally is 24 feet deep, and because I have to meet the 60-foot back, that garage is 19 feet, but unfortunately, just in that one little corner on the right-hand side of that garage, it doesn't meet the 10-foot setback from the septic system to a slab area. But it's only that corner. The whole rest of the house meets that. So I'm going to try to get a variance from Board of Health for that septic. If I can't, then I'm just going to eliminate the garage and just make it storage. So,
Which, because it's a slab, you might not have any issue.
yeah.
But I'm just asking for your purposes,
Yeah.
not for ours, but
No,
really
I
for yours,
understand.
that if you offered the Board of Health to flip-flop so that that became reserve area,
I will bring that up to the, to the engineer and ask him why.
yeah, maybe they thought of it and there's a
Yeah.
reason you can't, but again, I just thought it off of that.
And I assume that if that does happen, that's fine, but we would want another plan for file.
You have, okay.
Courtney?
No, I think you've addressed that particular issue. You know, we're approving it, and you still got a what-if going on that's outside of our realm. But I think you're getting the gist of the commission, that whatever you end up with, as long as it meets that 10-foot.
Right, it isn't gonna change the back at all, it's just gonna take 2 feet.
I mean,
off
we'll
that
ask you
front.
to
Yeah.
submit a revised plan, but as long as you're meeting that 10-foot setback, that reduces the heart attack factor for us.
Keep saying heart attack, I don't know.
Really
Not a
makes me
good
think.
term. Are we all set?
Ready to take the vote?
All set? All right, all those in favor of approving this revision, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Unanimous, so moved.
Mr. Cacciadorian will
Thank you,
write you a
sir.
letter, regarding the commission's vote and the plan, and we'll put some language in there if you flip-flop your reserve area. You don't have to come back to this board, so, but you do have to submit a revised plan. How's that sound? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Peter, I guess you're excused.
Peter, you can go now.
Good night.
Where the heck did my
All
plan?
right.
My other thing.
So now, the next one we're going to vote is 43 and 45 Dusty Miller
I thought we were doing
Road.
that one last.
He said, he thought we were doing, he's
That's the owner.
teasing, I assume, Tom, perhaps also Kevin. Anyway, so 43 and
No,
45
no,
Dusty
no,
Miller
no,
Road.
I have to do it after. I'm working on it.
And
There's a question about cut and fill calculations.
cut and
Neither.
fill.
All I remember is the answer, more cuts than fill.
Yes, soil removal west of house 45, regrading sloping downward gently. So, but we don't have a number on that. Are we concerned about that, Jen?
Betsy, you were talking about the cut and fill calcs, weren't you?
Yeah, I was more concerned with the fill rather than
The cut.
the cut, but his explanation was okay.
It's a net
I
cut.
just like to
Okay.
get people in the mode to give us those calcs. Since we've had some dramatic discussions about cut and fill in the past.
So what do you want?
No, nothing. Tom's explanation was okay, but I'm saying in the future, I would like engineers to give us cut and fill,
Okay.
when there is cut and fill.
I think there was some question on saving those cedar trees in that road, layout, specifically that 16-inch oak, the 14-inch cedar. And I think there was testimony that those will be saved. I'm pretty sure. so you can write that in. That they weren't gonna be removing this.
16-inch oak and 14-inch cedar, you said?
Okay, so you see where the little generator pad is?
Yeah,
14-inch cedar
which direction?
towards the road?
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, so those,
Well, this,
because the abutter was concerned about the,
the 16-inch oak
aesthetic
is to the left
appearance.
of that? I'm sorry.
yeah, the aesthetic appearance of Dusty Miller as they walk down the road. So leaving that vegetation there, if possible, will be helpful. Yes, let me just compare that to the plan over here. I think there was testimony that those trees were gonna remain. Yeah, no, they are. I see them on here, so that's fine. Anything else, Gus?
I don't have any notes as to anything else. Steve, you see any, recall anything?
No, it
I
was,
think we should put in a special condition on like site management and maintenance.
Yeah,
I think that would be I think that would be a great
This is
condition, you
This is a
know.
very windy area.
Yeah, site
No
management
cosmetic
is gonna
surgery
be,
until
it's
after
gonna be
the
key on
project is
this.
completed.
You need a picture of Tom's face posted?
Yes,
Yeah.
right.
Make nice with the
Daily
neighbors.
report to the commission.
In the retaining wall.
In triplicate, hand done.
Right. Take her a written report every morning.
So I'm
Yeah.
gonna make a motion to accept this as discussed.
Second.
All right, anything else from the board?
No, thank
Anything
you.
from the public? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, unanimous, so moved.
best of luck.
Yes, best of luck.
Kevin, what are you here for?
It'll be
We'll take
nice
yours out of
project.
order too. What?
The height of the wall.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay, now we're gonna address things in the remaining
Yeah.
order as printed.
I should have asked him the question.
So
It's the
next,
height of the wall.
Yeah, right. Could
He's
you
here
make
for
it riprap?
Uncatina.
oh, I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
People keep showing up.
I take it back. I won't dress, well. What are we doing? Well, we didn't actually have a motion on this property,
I'll make
did
a
we?
motion that we move 6 Uncatina North to the next one we discussed.
All right, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, unanimous, so moved. All right, 6 Uncatina North.
All right, hang on.
We're everywhere. We're east
We're-
Falmouth,
we're
West Falmouth,
And we're so
Falmouth, we're everywhere
flexible
tonight.
tonight.
I have to find Uncatina. All right, this was an amendment to allow for the rock revetment.
after-the-fact
After the rock wall that went in. And then the retaining wall that is required because if that foundation is cracking.
Yeah, that's kind of sad.
Very sad.
Isn't
Not
that
very
something
good
building need to
engineering.
do with that, Jamie? Jamie,
Sorry.
when you have a cracked foundation, can't you go into that and repair it somehow?
It can
They
be
are
a
adding
box
additional
either.
mitigation plantings in to mitigate for the
Sometimes just superficial.
stone wall that went in.
I'm sorry,
I said they are adding additional mitigation plantings to mitigate for the stone revetment or wall that went in without a permit.
I move we approve as discussed.
I would second that, unless somebody else does
I
first.
think Courtney sort of got in there first, but anyway, anything else from the board?
No, thank you.
Anything from Mr. Clower?
We'll just wait for the revision of the swimming pool.
Hey.
It's gonna happen.
But where? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, unanimous, so moved.
You too, Kevin.
Your testimony was forceful.
What a compelling argument, huh? Let's just take them all out of order, different orders.
Yeah, right, let's just,
You're right.
where
We could do 147, or we could squeeze in
Just do
36.
Kroll
and
Road,
sit between.
Oh, okay, no, we
No,
did
we
Dusty
haven't done,
Miller.
we haven't done Kroll
Excuse me,
Road.
we did Dusty Miller. 147 Shorewood Drive, Falmouth.
All right, hang on.
Oh, this is the one where it's a new
Oh.
float, it's 150 square feet. It's in water that's less than 2 feet deep, and do we wanna?
Oh, we have to discuss this one.
Wanted to
Yeah, we have
extend
to
it.
discuss this one. Do we want to maybe extend it? What would, I think the suggestion was about 15 feet, but still wouldn't get to 3 feet.
This is, yeah, if we extend, well, the other thing, Mark and I both, I mean, I agreed with Mark that those kayak racks should move further out, closer to the end of the float, wherever the end of the float ends up being.
It doesn't matter to me, just so it's out of the way from the salt marsh.
Yeah.
I'm really not in favor of the size of the float. I understand that that's what they've, got now, but I think it should be kept to 100 square feet.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I still am unclear that this is a licensed existing dock. The
Right.
determination of applicability was issued April 18th. I don't know whether that means that long-existing pier and dock, which has been there, in my knowledge, for 15 years, was ever licensed.
I have written down here a question, where is the 91 license? And then I had wrote down number 14525, but I don't know that we have a copy
They did
of that.
send, they did send
They
it to
did
us.
send it,
They did
okay.
send it to us.
So it is licensed.
So
They sent
that's-
us the license,
They did?
yes.
Okay. And it was dated April 8th, 2017?
I'd have to look at it.
Okay.
The files are.
I know, but I don't know if I had a chance to print, I have to go back through all the emails that we're receiving and print stuff out, and I can, let me look.
I have no problem with, it'll be an improvement. The issue is, what do our regulations, if it is not an existing dock, how does that affect our decision?
You couldn't do it.
We couldn't.
It's not deep enough.
Well, they would have to do a full shellfish survey, they would
Right.
have to meet all of your regulations,
Right.
all your current performance standards.
Right.
Shellfish survey, the whole
Right.
And I don't want to impose something on the new owners that may
No,
have
I
been
didn't print it
an
out and
issue
put it
of
in here,
the
but
prior
Jean-
owner.
Jean from their office did send me an additional copy of it.
Meaning you don't want the size, square footage reduced?
Oh, no.
Oh, okay.
It's just
You
whether
mean-
the dock itself was,
Okay.
So,
Did we get
we
a
should
plot-
even consider it.
Did we get a new plan that shows the dock extending out?
No.
No, we haven't yet.
We're gonna deliberate, so.
Because I think that's a good idea
I
myself.
think it's a good idea,
what
but
I
I
think-
think it should also be made smaller.
yeah, so what I think we should do, I mean, that's the trade-off. We'll
Right.
allow them to go out to 2.7 feet,
Yeah.
whatever we were talking, 15 feet or something,
Yeah, 2.7 looks like.
till they get up to
Oh, how far is
2.7,
that?
but the float has to be 100 square feet.
Right,
This is
that's good.
And there's, the location of the
Okay,
kayak storage, if
Okay.
they're moving out further, the kayak storage can move out
Can move
further
out
also.
Yeah.
to get
Yeah,
to
if they
2.7, we gotta go out 18 feet, guys.
Well,
No, wait,
14.
14 feet?
yeah, I was gonna
To
say
get to 3, you gotta go to 18.
15 feet or so.
No. All right,
15 feet
so-
might get us to
measured
2.8.
Is that, are you looking at the right
Feet doesn't
scale?
go anywhere.
Okay.
Right.
2.5
It's your
feet.
profile,
Still 2.5 feet.
Yeah,
hang on.
So double.
I sketched 40 feet out.
Right.
No, take it,
But that's,
2.7.
Oh, it is this.
What's our limit?
Never mind, I misread what the scale was.
15 gets us into 2.5 feet of water.
Yes, right.
All right, and how far is 15 point, how far is 2.5 from the landward edge of the salt marsh?
100 feet.
Oh, he's still got it, got plenty of room.
Another,
It's right at the top of coastal.
It'd be
Yeah,
in the
that's
morning.
fine.
Oh, that's a common dock.
Racks.
another note I have is remove steps and revegetate bank to discourage walking on the salt marsh.
Yep. I have don't stop mowing salt marsh.
Well, that,
So we're gonna have them remove those concrete steps out of the bank?
Lengthen pier 15 feet to get 2.5 water. remove stairs and bank.
It's kind of a twofer in the wrong direction there.
And revegetate. And then, what do you want to do with the float, Mary?
I think it should be limited to 100 square feet.
Okay.
Does anybody
agree.
dispute that?
I agree.
Okay.
That's gonna require that. What's the float now?
These two lots with common ownership.
Are they? I don't.
Yeah.
Copy.
Now we need one
Does it share
split.
the dock?
Proposed.
Yeah. This is very small.
Okay,
Skinny.
I mean, you know, the way I look at it is, it's not good now, but their alternative is to leave it.
okay. Then we have to specify float storage.
Yeah, he didn't want to do that. He said, we're gonna barge it away and it'll either be in the driveway or someplace else off-site. And,
Okay.
I suppose that's good enough, but doesn't really.
And then we're gonna talk about,
Restrict me either.
DMF's new interesting comments, so we'll put that as a finding.
I'm sorry, what?
DMF's comments, how grading is not a good substitute for raising the dock and all of that, so that'll be in the findings.
Well, it's better to
Oh,
have
right.
grading than no grading, but it isn't as good as you might think it would be.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
okay.
Anything else?
The existing stone steps.
Yeah.
We're gonna
we
remove
just said
those,
they
stabilize them.
Removed, it shouldn't be
Bless you,
there,
Courtney.
and it encourages walking on the salt marsh to have them,
Stop mowing the salt marsh.
and stop mowing the salt.
Move to approve is discussed.
Second.
All right, anything else? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, unanimous, so moved. All right, just one more. 36,
Two more.
yes, right.
I didn't want you to get ahead of
Because I'm
yourself.
really out of it.
You really want to go. huh?
36 Eel River Road.
This is a really quick meeting, Chair.
Um,
Yeah, that was just the house, that was, they were moving the house outside the velocity zone.
Right.
Yes,
Yeah. Move to approve.
Second.
any other comments from anyone?
No.
I don't recall anything either.
Continue to 9/12.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, unanimous, so moved.
That cool property line.
We have to be
And-
over soon, my pen's out of ink.
Finally,
Really?
66 Kroll Road.
How
This
can you
is-
not
I
remember
remember
this
this one.
one?
Are we gonna do the back
Mark remembers this
stabilization
one.
first or not? That, as we required in the order. I don't know, I had a bad reaction in general to the project and also to the request to move the house back about 5 feet and how that's gonna change everyone's experience of the property. I found that a bit hard to relate to.
I can live with the project as they want it. I mean, it's their risk if they want to put, you know, more than $1 million into something.
But we do want them to stake the beach as it currently exists, so
Yes.
we know their beach protection doesn't extend out onto the current beach.
Yes.
Right, but then I'm also
the rest
reluctant
is-
to allow, to encourage people to start building until they stabilize that wall. So,
Because they're only going to make it worse during construction,
yeah,
particularly if the house stays where it's,
yeah, I mean, whatever you do, pound things, however
just the
you,
excavation.
excavation. So I think the stabilization of the bank should be done before the house is done.
I absolutely agree.
Yeah.
That was the whole point of having
Right.
the amendment was the,
So So we're.
Well, they moved it
We're
back 2
talking
feet.
about denying it.
They moved back the house back 2 feet.
Yeah, make
Yeah.
that clear for the road. if you
Well-
would,
Okay,
please.
let me get, I'm just,
Make
let
So
me,
accept the amendment, we accept moving back, we think that's a good idea. We actually think they should move back more than 2 feet, but we'll accept 2 feet, but they have to stabilize the bank first.
that's the whole
Yeah,
point. You
I-
don't want to
I think
stabilize
that's
the
better than saying you do it at your risk, because,
Well, this is still doing it at their risk.
yeah, but I mean,
That's what he was.
but I mean,
Well,
I think
I guess
it's,
the worst.
we have the
situation-
opportunity to condition it this way. and
What
show-
could happen if they don't stabilize the bank, they could get more erosion, but they presumably could, when they get around to stabilizing, re-stabilize it to where they originally staked it, not to the new, further eroded bank. In other words, to me, the issue is they get more erosion, the bank recedes another 4 or 5 feet. Well, they shouldn't have to stabilize to that new base of the hill. But where it is now, when they're setting the plan, I mean, you're working
Stabilize
too
it.
much on the come if you try to make them
I mean-
live with the bank
I mean, we
receding.
could, we could say, you know, it's entirely at their risk. That, you know, they're not gonna get a certificate of compliance, they're not gonna get an occupancy permit until the bank's stabilized. And if they, we don't recommend that they do that, but if they wanna do it,
Okay, here is what the condition says that they want to remove.
so they're not gonna do it. They won't, then.
All of this is coming
Why
back.
should they get an occupancy permit?
Right, but,
Okay, guys,
So
so this is what I had written, and this is what was causing them.
And what was the date of that,
You just issued this, like in June.
of this year?
Yes.
yeah, we issued it a couple of weeks ago.
You issued this bank stabilization project,
Like a year and a half ago.
yeah, a year and a half ago.
Okay, that's all I want to know.
All right, so special condition number 1 says the proposed project shall be phased with the coastal bank stabilization project. Once the stabilization project is complete, a new survey of the bank shall be completed prior to the construction of the new house. 2, the new survey plan of the stabilized bank shall be submitted to the Conservation Department shall be submitted prior to the Conservation Department approving a building permit for the new structure. So we have to sign off on all the building permits.
And that was a year and a half ago, a year ago.
No, we issued that permit for the house back in June. We issued the stabilization project a year and a half ago. This
that
board
could've been
was
completed
concerned
already.
because from the time we issued the order of conditions for the stabilization projects, we had the 3-4 March nor'easters that took a big, that bank took a big hit. This is where Mark was concerned, Betsy was concerned, that bank has changed. So we don't, and they're trying to match it up to, you know, what it was when we, you know,
It's not there, all that material's gone, and it's nourishing our beaches somewhere.
that's a
So-
good thing.
Yes, but it's spoiling their treasured view of their childhood memories.
and, yeah,
You know what I
had they
realized?
done the stabilization?
You know what I realized? I haven't lived in a place for 15
Tell
years,
them to go get
ever,
it.
before I lived where I live now. And I drive down the road and I look at how the vegetation's changed. And I say, wow, you know, people ought to have to see the same thing over and over again to realize that things change.
What do you want to do?
Yeah, frankly, I'm not awfully sympathetic to this application. We approved a year and a half ago a bank stabilization. We then issued an order of conditions that was explicit, which said that has to be completed before they do the house. I don't know what their rationale is for not doing it, but we had good reason to come to that conclusion a year and a half ago, and when we issued the approval for the house. And I don't think there's any compelling reason for a change in that. And I think we should deny this, and our findings should reflect the comments like this.
Fortunately, had they done it, I think it probably would have held up pretty well. But I mean, there was nothing there to, once any vegetation that had been there started going, the whole thing just slumped.
So, it's gonna be a different configuration, which may mean that their house is even further back, which
That's
may
what
in
this
fact
board
be the
was-
rationale.
That's what this board was concerned with. That's why you were struggling with the approval of the house in the location that you ultimately approved it in, was because you wanted it further back, because you were afraid that the foundation of the house, or the patio, is ultimately gonna be closer to the top of the coastal
Way too
bank.
close.
Closer than the existing house was when that bank was surveyed.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's why you conditioned it this way, or why you asked to have it conditioned this way.
right, and if the new top of the coastal bank
The argument of the applicant
is
is
gonna
there's a
make
funding
them, may
issue
make them push the
involved
house
with it.
back
Yeah,
further.
then that's problematic because, you can just kind of see what the
I mean,
thinking is here.
I'm sympathetic, but that's like,
Not
I
that they
want to
would get
build
an
this
order
so
of
my
conditions if
grandson
they
and my
didn't fulfill everything.
grandfather can both have this pool, even though the pool is in the marsh. I mean, my point is,
I get
my
it.
point is, yeah, we don't take the families, we don't take the funding. That's not what we do here. We
Okay,
take
what would you guys like to
damage
do?
to the resources.
I would, well, I'm thinking
Or
that we
improvements to the
either
resources.
deny or we say we deny the sequencing request. They can move it back as much as they want.
Well, they're moving it back to try to alleviate the board's concern.
Well,
Yeah.
I understand,
So I
I'm just
think
leaving them the
approval.
option, that's all.
No, okay,
So
so,
I think we should approve it. We approve it, except we don't approve that part of it. We can
Okay,
have a
hang on.
partial approval.
where's my, yes, okay, so,
I don't think we should approve it, I think we should deny it. We had good reason to issue it, let's be consistent. They have not presented a compelling argument.
She's saying we approve,
I'm approving that the house moves,
Back.
has moved too back.
Yeah, but
But we
it
do
may
not
be that
approve-
once they do the stabilization and the resurvey of the top of the bank, in fact, they may have to move the house back further than they're
Then
offering.
they can come and
You can't. You
ask
already
for another
approved that.
amendment.
we already approved that much.
You already approved the
Well,
location of the house.
we approved it, but if a new bank doesn't meet the regulations, I have an issue with that.
Well, the bank has to be stabilized back to,
I mean, the assumptions under which we did all of this was an existing condition which changed.
Yeah, I don't think we're agreeing about what we want to do. I think we're disagreeing or not being clear about how to state it.
I'm gonna put an amendment on the table that approves, I'm gonna put a motion on the table that approves this amendment, which allows for the house to be moved back 2 feet from what we originally approved, but requires that the bank stabilization be done, and a new survey be done before a building permit is
so
pulled.
basically, their request is to eliminate special condition 1 and 2, and you're saying no, but you will approve the plan with the modification of the house being back 2 feet.
Correct.
Okay,
I mean, that's my motion.
okay, that is the motion.
To refresh my mind, was there a house there before?
Yes,
There's a house there.
Okay,
There's a house
so-
there now.
Yeah, so, okay.
can I have clarification? Special conditions 1 is the stabilization, correct?
hang on, Jamie.
So they have to do that before they can start
Special
construction.
condition number 1, the proposed project shall be phased with the coastal bank stabilization project. Once the stabilization project is completed, a new survey of the bank shall be completed prior to the construction of the new house. So basically, we gave them the option.
That was all number 1?
That was number 1. Number 2, the new survey plan of the stabilized bank shall be submitted prior to the Conservation Department approving a building permit for the new structure.
Just so
I'm
we're
just gonna
clear.
clarify something. Number 3, the applicant may or may not demolish the existing structure prior to the stabilization project. So I said.
For
you-
access.
For access, but they had access before around the old house. What I'm
Okay.
saying is, you can take the old house down,
Right.
or you don't have to. But
Right.
the bank
But that
stabilization
negates
project.
his argument that he's gonna, mobilize twice.
Right.
He doesn't have to mobilize twice.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm clear, thank you.
Okay, now
I have-
also,
Me-
then we don't want to get rid of either special condition 1 or 2.
Correct.
And they're proposing
Or
moving
3.
back the house 2 feet as an alternative, or
Or-
in a trade for getting rid of 1 or 2.
Yes.
So we should just deny this thing.
Yes, I think that would be the cleanest thing.
Why, Mark?
Mark has a question.
I've got a comment. My principal concerns are simply two. One is that they, during any bank stabilization, they encroach further onto the beach, and I think that's unacceptable. That's the first concern. And the second concern I have, and the only other one, is that when they build this beach stabilization, they don't deviate from the plans, and their plan shows a 1.5 to 1 to maybe a 1 to 1 slope. And my concern is that they may decide to make it really steep in order to get
Right.
closer. But
Right.
if we stick them with a plan and say, look, you got a plan that says 1 to 1, and you got a survey that shows here's the base of the bank, I don't care what they do on the top. If they get too close or too far away, or I don't care what order they do it in. I mean, the problem is if they do the house first, then they can't do the bank.
Right.
Right.
Then they're in real trouble. But I don't know, do we just cave in and say, okay, well, don't do the bank, or what?
Okay, I'm gonna withdraw my first motion, and I'm gonna have a new motion. And the new motion is that we accept the amendment as they discussed, and I'm gonna vote against it.
And that's our way of doing it.
So if.
I would vote for it.
So you can,
I mean, I think we've got an order of conditions on the bank stabilization, which has location and design.
Okay,
but that's already been done, right?
the bank
no, it hasn't
Those
stabilization.
conditions
We've
have been.
approved it, but it hasn't been made.
Yeah,
Okay,
but they
guys,
want
you're
them
confusing me.
removed.
Jamie, what did you say, what conditions have already been made?
The conditions as far as the restabilization has already been,
That's already done.
that's set.
The restabilization project's already been
Right.
issued. Yeah, in a year and a half ago.
All we're talking about is
The house.
which comes first.
Yes.
Yes,
Right.
correct. Correct.
Betsy's motion
My
is
motion
to,
is to accept what
What is
their
it?
offer is.
Yeah, and if you don't agree with it, then you don't vote for
and
the
you vote
amendment.
no.
Yes,
So she's putting a positive amendment,
yes,
Motion on the table.
yes.
positive
You need
motion,
a second.
and I'll second the positive motion.
okay.
All right, does everybody understand what we're doing,
So
and are we
if you
ready
don't
to
like
do
it, you
it? Or
put
we're
your
gonna
hand up for no.
have more discussion? Everybody ready? All right, all those in favor of accepting the amendment, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed?
Okay, so we are
I'm aye.
Everybody else.
4, 5,
You're
6,
aye.
6 aye, 1 no.
No,
What's,
5 to 2.
six-
6
no,
no, 1
six-
aye, I'm sorry.
is everybody here on
One
the
aye.
Okay,
quorum?
guys, got an idea?
Yeah.
Everybody voted
Everybody
against.
that is voting in favor of the amendment, raise their hand. Okay?
And you're.
No, no,
You're
oh,
part-
oh, in
wait.
favor, yeah.
You don't
No,
vote.
Steve, you're voting for the
I do.
amendment, and Mark's voting for the amendment. All those who don't want to vote for the amendment, raise your hand.
Yeah.
There we go. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 2. I need to state this, so
Right.
when this, that, okay. Okay, 5-2, motion does not pass. Or 2 to 5, motion does not pass.
That was easy.
Motion to
Okay,
adjourn.
that was painful.
Second,
What's elections?
We're gonna have elections.
oh. So I'll put a slate on the table that we re-elect the same officers that we have now.
Second.
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 Are people, does
I'll
any,
second it, because I don't think he should second it.
We got
you're happy, everybody's okay with that, or would you rather
Let's
have
have the
some nominations?
I just made a nomination.
I know, but I mean,
There might be more nominations.
Kevin.
We
Are
don't
there
want
any
lengthy
more
speeches, no
nominations?
speeches.
No more nominations. I'd a point of, I'd just like to know who are the officers?
These two.
I'm the chair, he's the vice chair.
And who's the
That's
clerk?
it?
That's it.
That's it.
You
No
didn't
clerk?
have a couple of extra, you
Wait,
know,
well, Steve's-
recording secretary?
No,
and-
Steve's the representative of the CPC.
Oh, well, there you go.
Okay.
But
Then
then-
I'm a representative of-
and,
He's
oh,
our
wait, and
Representative to coastal resiliency, but we don't, I mean,
I'd
we
like to
do
make
the
a
chair and
speech in
vice
favor
chair
of
on
my
annual
nomination.
basis.
Right. The
Yeah.
others
Just
are, yeah.
don't
Okay,
Giving you a
don't
hard
pay any
time. Let's
attention
just
to
vote.
me.
all right.
I'd like
Call
to
for the
point out
vote.
my accomplishments on the Coonamessett River project. I've been able to get a lot of funds through on the CPC.
He's
Was that a campaign
a
speech?
wonderful person.
Motion to keep the seating order in place.
One thing at a time. Okay, let's have a vote
Officer
on
vote.
Betsy's motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Hey, Brendan, throw this
Opposed.
66 crowd. just-
Nobody opposed.
Oh, wait, no, I think we
adjourn.
have it.
Second.
Just throw, just in case.
No, he's giving you a hard time.
All right,
He's not serious. It's
motion to adjourn,
coming from
second.
Kevin.
You moved, didn't you?
Did we, oh, wait a second. Were you serious about the seating?
Yes, yes, he was.
Jen might like to vote on that.
What, the seating?
Not
I
that
don't.
she can,
Actually, since you asked, I think the administrator should be front and center.
With all the microphones, because the rest of us
Yeah, because the rest of us, it's
doesn't really
insignificant to her
Yeah, well-
opinion, so.
We should petition the
I liked
the
Courtney.
town manager to install a microphone in front of Jen.
I'd like
I
to
gotta-
petition the town manager to take
She's got a
that
throne, what more does she need?
wall away.
Yeah, I know.
How
We
about you
find
guys
that wall
adjourn?
offensive.
Okay,
All right. People
I
at
have a
home are
motion, I need
rolling
a
their eyes.
second.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?